All right, we're gonna clap on three. Ready?
Dale pues.
Three.
Oh, wait.
You too, fool. 3, 2, 1. Saludos, familia. Welcome back to the Hello Brown and Hello Loud podcast. I am Señor Barragan, and I am blessed to have Perez the Advisor with me, or Perez.
No, Perez now.
He is one of the homies. He's a content creator. He's a educator, former educator. I think I don't know how you're like now labeling yourself. He has about 50K followers combined across different social medias. He's a first generation college student. He's focused around identity and culture and does a bunch of really dope stuff. This is actually the second time that I meet the boy in person. But Perez, the advisor,
Yes.
would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Thank you so much, Señor Barragan. Yeah, man, like we've collaborated a couple times, pero en persona is the second time that I see him. And each time I see him, like, dude, this guy's big. He's a tall guy, está bien grandote. No, no, honestly, man, thank you so much for inviting me. Perez the Advisor, mi nombre es Benjamin. First gen, I don't know, how do I explain my page? And I think in our conversation I'll be able to do that. But I mean, I post content un poquito de todo, I like to say. La vida es así, un poquito de todo. Yesterday estábamos tristes, hoy también hay que estar enojados, pero la vida no es así, no? Like, so I like to post a little bit of everything, something humor, educational, cultural, mental health, and the main focus is like my journey within all those avenues, no? So I'm not an expert in all the things, but I like to share my experiences in those things.
So why the advisor?
Man, the advisor. So cuando yo empecé my journey within education, as a first gen college student, yo no sabía lo que quería hacer. I'm in here in community college. My mom takes me, tú vas a ir a la escuela para acá. So I knew college was my future, pero yo no sabía lo que quería hacer. So little by little, as I'm walking through my journey as an undergrad, I realized, ¿sabes qué? Like I've jumped into an advisor role. Like, man, I saw a post una vez in my community college, decía, hey, do you want to make $18 an hour? Be an advisor. And I was like, heck yeah, I was making $10 at Macy's. $10 at that time, I was like, man, that's a lot of money. Pero me dijeron, trabaja, gana $18 and don't work the weekends. I'm like, I'm in. Because at Macy's or my previous mall jobs, I was working on the weekends all the time and I hated it. So así empezó the journey, man. And then little by little, like, I got an advisor role for like student organizations at San Jose State. And then I moved to another organization and I was an advisor.
Yeah. When did the social media start?
Like for a lot of us, or most of us, I'm not sure about you, but when the world shut down, I would say, pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, I was an advisor back then, and I was like, dude, like, ¿cómo le hacemos ahora? Like, we're behind a camera, we're behind a laptop. And I started seeing all the time on social media this idea of lives. People are doing lives all the time. And I would see who were the best examples for me, mis tías. Always going on lives on quinceañeras. Mira, aquí estamos. Blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? People are doing lives for like funny, for like weird random stuff. Why can't I just do, and I didn't follow any influencers back then. I'm like, what if I can do lives about college stuff? And I was like, what if I can do a live about being first gen? Or going to community college, or being stressed, or mental health. And I can bring guests to share their story about these specific topics. And I was like, yeah, what's the purpose of this thing? Well, what's my purpose as an advisor? I'm trying to help students find their purpose. I was like, there it is. So lo llamé my series, Find Your Purpose. So así empezó todo, man. Pandemic, felt like there was an opportunity here, and I just ran with it.
So did you find your purpose?
And that's the funny part about the purpose, no? I think the purpose continues to evolve, I would say. Pero I would say right now, I feel like I have a pretty strong sense of what my purpose is. Yeah.
What's your mission? What's like the one sentence to describe what your mission is at this time? Perez the Advisor.
As Perez the Advisor. Man, my mission is just to continue to create a safe space for Latinos and obviously for anyone else who's everyone's welcome, but just to continue to create a safe space for people to have dialogue about what's happening, and or like if you see my content and you laugh about something that I mentioned, great, I made you smile. But just a space for people to feel like they can feel identified and that they're not alone in whatever with this thing we call life.
Yeah, I love that you started around the idea of like finding like purpose, right? I think a lot of us that that came from historically marginalized communities started their journey in second education without actually knowing what the fuck we were gonna do. Like a lot of us started with the idea like we need to make money, like this is the right path, we need to figure it out. And I love that for you. It was such an organic thing. Like you stumbled upon this job, right? Being an advisor.
Yeah.
And like it sounds like that was almost like the starting point to baking who you are. Did I say baking? I don't know what I said. Baking, making,
Baking it.
making who you are now, right? Like, what if you didn't find that job?
That's true, man. Y honestamente, señor, es que en el trabajo ese, my first job, $18 an hour, I was tutoring more than anything. I was not really an advisor, but I was tutoring elementary kids. Pero donde? I'm from Salinas, so like King City, Watsonville, Santa Cruz, but the schools that are with kids that look like me. Y los niños, I mean, I'm an 18, 19-year-old college kid. But me venían los niños y me decían, señor, maestro. The teachers, the families will come up to me like if I was a teacher. So me miraban con unos ojos that, like, wow, you're this guy. And I'm like, I'm just a tutor. So miraba yo como una responsabilidad y me sentía raro que me llamaran maestro cuando yo no lo era. But I also felt like, wow, like, this feels nice. So slowly, I kind like that's like the beginnings of the feelings, right? But throughout the journey, I would say like that core value that I have and the foundation that I have continues to take me to the things that I do today now.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was gonna be a teacher when I started, dude. I went undeclared on my major. I'm like, I'll figure it out as I go. And I just stumbled randomly into a Latino studies class that just changed my entire perspective and set me like on the right path. I started doing a lot of volunteering. I started like doing a lot of those things. And even when I got my first job as a teacher, I wasn't even applying for that job. This will be actually the first time that I say this out loud.
Right.
I was applying to be a front office manager, right, at a school. Right, I was applying for this job, and I was applying at this organization where I went to school, right? And the person that was HR like called me and I said like, Angel, like, why do you want to be like the front office manager? And I was like, oh, I think I want to be a teacher in the long run. Like, I actually don't know how to get started, so like I think I'm gonna take my time. I want to work for a couple of years and then figure it out. And he's like, okay, let me get back to you. I'm like, get back to what though? And I went through the interview process of trying to like become an office manager for like a little while. Yeah. And I there was like multiple steps of the interviews, right? And I finished the last interview and I sat down with the person that would later become my principal. And he said, Angel, I have two opportunities for you. One that you're going to be really good at, right? And it'll be like stable for you, whatever. I have another one that's going to be a challenge, but you're going to grow and you're going to enjoy it a lot. And I was like, I'll take a challenge any day. And then he stood up, he put his hand on his shook and he's like, well, you're our new Spanish teacher. And I was like, what?
Oh, man.
And I was like, what? It's like, it's just like, I had a Spanish background. I had a lot of opportunities of educating young people already. I used to be a black belt martial artist. I would volunteer in different programs. So I had all of the things. I just didn't know how to get started. And they sort of gave me the opportunity, dude. But
nice.
If I didn't find that ethnic studies class, that was like my jumping point, similar to you, like finding that job.
That job.
I don't know that I would be where I am right now.
Hey, shout out to those moments, no? La vida son de momentos, Angel. We just, have to take advantage of those moments, no, and learn from them for sure.
Yeah, so somebody said, like, it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing or if you're scared, just do it anyways. That's not true for everything, though. Like, people be fucking up their lives, so we're making, like silly mistakes y lo que sea. Te iba a preguntar, I heard that prior to this, you used to make content about Greek life.
Greek life, man, yeah. So, again, part of the journey, right? Mi historia, like, we can be here for days. Like, just like with your story, no? And I feel like that's what's beautiful. And so, thank you again for making this. So, in undergrad, cuando I transferred to San Jose State University, igual, perdido. 21-year-old at a four-year institution. It took me almost 4 years to transfer from my community college. Igual.
Where did you go to school?
In Hartnell and Salinas, and then I transferred to San Jose State. San Jose, SGSU, and not knowing anything. Only first campus I ever stepped foot on was SGSU, as like ¿cómo le llaman? Admitted day que vienes para conocer el campus. And I was like, damn, it's nice and sunny. There's squirrels on the ground. Like, there's palm trees. Salinas, you don't see none of that. So I was like, I want to be here. Hell yeah. Y nunca había ido a ninguna otra universidad. Again, we can talk about what happened in K-12. So never saw that. So I love it. So just walking through campus, being in the dorms, not knowing anyone, I'm like, seeing a bunch of student organizations table was intimidating. But one dude came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, like, you just enjoying the fraternity?" I was like, "Heck no! I seen the movies." So I said no. I always said no. But then one time someone encouraged me to go, "Hey, go check them out. So go check them out. You never know." And I was like, "Man, no me gusta." I'm like, "Okay, take me to the Latino ones. At least we can start there." So that's how it started. No, I went up to one of the tables. They were listening to banda music. They were playing soccer in the back, and I was like, "This is it. I feel like I can connect with these dudes." So así empezó, no? So my undergrad experience with Greek life really helped me do what we're doing here. Speak up, talk. Yo siempre, it allowed me to learn how to talk. Porque sí sabía hablar y gritar. Pero no sabía cómo expresarme professionally or being in front of a crowd or lead a meeting, etc. Right? So that really shaped my experience. So once I graduated, I got the opportunity to be an advisor, again, but for Greek life, student orgs. So now I'm on the other side of the table advising the students who I was partying with like a semester ago, right? So I was like,
not awkward at all.
Not awkward at all. But it was pretty cool experience. I had to really take that hat of like as a professional now. Okay. Yes, I know you from before, pero soy tu advisor.
Todo pedo.
Todo I have pictures of you. Advisor. I have pictures of you and come in, sign this form. So then they moved me to advise the IFC fraternities because I no conocía a nadie. I was like, okay, I think that's better. No conflict of interest. So I started advising the IFC, and that world was very interesting. Not a lot of people that look like you and I are part of that world. So there was definitely really big going to conferences and stuff and just be like, I'm the only Latino guy. So that was a big growth for me and allowed me to understand what student activities or como le llaman student affairs is. And I was like, wow. So I really liked them. Like, you can major in this stuff? Like you can major and be in this world? I had no idea. I'm over here majoring in Spanish. So that kind of helped, again, continue my professional world. And then when I started the whole content creation, I was like, you know what? I would love to also share the stories of other Latinos within Greek life who are now professors or business owners or whatever the case is, right? I'm like, I want to bring them in and I want to share the story. Again, their purpose, how they got to their purpose, how did Greek life was part of that journey for them. So that's how I started my podcast, and I started sharing the stories of other founders, et cetera, because I thought there was a thing there to share. And I would love to continue doing it, pero como te digo, poco a poquito.
Yeah. Señor Barragan was also a frat boy. Back in the day, I was part of Phi Iota Alpha. Shout out to the brothers. I also had the same experience or similar experience where, like, actually one of the founders at San Francisco State came out to me, the homie Raul. I don't think he'll see this. If he does, he'll be like, "Oh snap!" Came out to me and he was like asking me about joining or whatever, and I was. ¿Qué chingaderas es eso? I came here to study.
Yeah.
I'm here for business.
I got purpose.
and then we randomly ended up in a class, I think like 2 years later, and he asked me again. And by that point, I had already changed my perspective, and I was like, let me see what this is all about. And at least for my experience, dude, I thought that the Greek life was gonna be all partying and all of this and all of that. And like the fellas that I was around, the fools that were part of Phi Iota Alpha in San Francisco, they were all about volunteering, all about Latinidad, all about all of these different empowering things. And it landed really well with me and my growth in ethnic studies and my own cultural and societal identity that I was creating at the time.
Heck yeah.
I don't think it was like that everywhere, bro. Because one time I went to visit some of the fools in different cities, and I was like, dang, dude, like y'all party like way harder than we do at San Francisco. It's not a competition, but like y'all got it. But yeah, dude, like I think now when students ask me about the fraternities and they get the bad rap, I'm like, don't be afraid to look into some of the multicultural fraternities, like or sororities, right? Like some of them are like meaning well. You make connections, and for me, like I was a commuter student. They gave me like a place where I could go and like spend time with people. Eso de que tienes que pagar, I think it's I don't like that, but like there was no way around dues. Sometimes.
Part of the process, no? And many students will ask me, as an advisor going into high school doing presentations about my story, etc. They'll be like, hey, Mr. Benjamin, Ben, or whatever, right? And I was like, yeah, dude, how did you get this job? Like, what do you do? Like, you're just sitting here looking at, like, doing presentation. I'm like, I honestly just sit here, get paid to listen to your story. Like, I'm here to help you in your journey. Try philosophical with them, right? And they're like, yeah, but like, how did you get this job? How did you know? And I was like, I'll be honest with you. This whole advisor thing, how really my eyes were opened, was because I joined a frat. As crazy as it sounds, like that really confirmed to me, like, tú puedes hacer esto y hay mucho que puedes hacer. And they're like, whoa, I'm gonna join a fraternity. I'm like, wait, hold on. There's more to it. But I'm like, yeah, fraternities, yes, there's the rep. They're like, but I thought they just party. And I'm like, let me rephrase that. College students party. Greek life, of course they party. But if you look at the other side of the picture, they also do a lot of great things. Like you said, community service, especially for like the affinity-based ones. Community service, Latinidad, brotherhood. There's a lot of I held a lot of circles in my fraternity. Shout out to SDA Sigma Alpha, where it was like about healing, about mental health, and I didn't even know what that was. I was just doing the stuff that I was learning in my Chicano studies classes. One of my professors, shout out to Professor Pizarro, his whole class was about like healing. Decía, how are we gonna go to their community and make it better when you have baggage, when you still have things to work on? And I was like, what is this guy talking about?
Called you out.
Like, he told the whole class, right? And I was like, what is this class? And then every class, everyone...
Why is he staring at me?
He's like, what does he know? He saw me last week. So, like, he would just allow people to share their story. And people would hella cry. And, like, it was deep. And I was like, hell no, I ain't crying. No, I'm not going to speak up. No. I was against him, like, you know, my masculinidad. Nah, I'm not going to do that. The last day of class, in order to pass it, I had to share my story or whatever part of the story the prompt. And I did. I freaking cried, bro. Hella cried because I spoke about my dad. Lloré, güey. No quería, güey, pero se me salían y lloré. But after that, dude, I felt so fucking healed. Like, I don't know if we could cuss. I saw your cuss, but we can cuss. I felt like como que something was lifted off my shoulders and my relationship with my father improved after that. And I was like, damn. So I'm like, I want to do something like that for my fraternity. So we were doing that kind of stuff. So in the fraternities, like I told students, there's a lot of things you're going to get out of it what you want to get out of it. Si tú nomás quieres a party, then yeah, you'll find that. And then you'll miss out on all the other great things that you can do. It's just like in college. If you're going to go to college and just party every Thursday, every Friday, and not go to class, you're paying for it. You're the one metiéndote en deudas if you get debt like that. And, you know, again, it's the purpose.
Do you want to share one of your chants?
No. One of the chants? I'm going to stand there right now.
No, luego me regañan. My big me va a regañar. So wait, I think we got an idea of who Perez the Advisor is. But who the fuck is Benjamin?
Benjamin, man.
Or Benjamin. ¿Qué prefieres?
Benjamin, I would say
or
Benjamin.
Benji.
Yeah. I've been called
Ben.
Benji, Benny. This one teacher at community college, she once called me Ben German. I was like, that's a first. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm German today. No, but Benjamin con el acento, por favor, que previous maestro de español. Benjamin, yeah, and who is Benjamin? And that's a funny part because throughout my Perez the Advisor journey, siempre lo miré como, and I still do, like being very professional about it, like showing up professionally. I don't really cuss in my videos at all. I'll do videos that have sound when they cuss, but I'm not the one cussing, right? So like siempre lo veo como algo profesional. So I always try to share everyone's story, and then slowly, like I'm like, wait, this page is slowly like becoming about me, you know, my experiences. Because people will ask me, hey, ¿tú qué onda? How was your experience? Like, oh shit, Chetos, like I can do that too. So then I slowly started being a little bit more about me, right? So if you see the journey on my page, you slowly start seeing who Benjamin really is. But who am I? Man, I'm just a guy from Salinas, from the 831, born and raised in the Salad Bowl of California. Parents are Mexican. My identities are crazy, right? Soy papá, soy esposo, soy hijo, right? Soy the first one in my family. We're talking about from my whole family. My familia Sinaloa, we're like 90 cousins, bro. Yo soy el primero.
From Sinaloa?
Yeah, my mom's from Sinaloa and my dad's from Colima, so it's next to Jalisco. So I'm the first one from the fan, man. Like, and yeah, I mean, educator, just a chill guy. Chill guy.
Yo, Colima is and Sinaloa, they both get such a bad rap right now.
Right now,
I wouldn't know, bro, actually. I know that Colima is hefty.
It's heavy, man. When I was, as a kid, íbamos para allá, it wasn't crazy. It slowly started when, like, other groups started you seeing, hey, Colima has a port. We can throw in, bring drugs through here, and no one claimed it. So then, it got violent. It's really bad right now. Sinaloa, I mean, it's been controlled by the same group, so it's been kind of, it died down a little bit, but it's still crazy. If you, again, like I said, Si lo buscas, lo encuentras, right? Pero hay veces que pasa aunque no quieras, right? So it's been
That's
pretty
the same
crazy.
thing. I don't know if you saw last year, I got the chance to travel with advanced parole for the first time to Mexico since I came to the US. It's been like 20 years since I've been there, dude. It was such a crazy trip. But like every time that I would talk to my family members and they would bring up the idea of being safe, siempre decían like, oh, like if you do your own thing, if you're not messing with anybody, like you're gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen to you.
For the most part, yeah. Yeah, for the most part, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to Colima, fool. I wasn't going to Sinaloa.
Pero mira, like,
in
you could be
Lázaro Cárdenas.
you could be a business owner in Mexico. You have your like restaurante chiquito, y te va, y, you know, you're making a living, and then llega te cobran, tienes que pagar, y si no puedes, si no quieres, that's the sad part, you know, that they're sometimes they do that kind of stuff, and I'm like, what? So I would say most of the time, si no lo buscas, no lo encuentras.
Just that little whistle again, though.
No.
Dude, I gotta learn how to do that, dude. It brought me into the story immediately. Yo, bro, did you get that shirt at the flea market?
I got this shirt just to prepare for this conversation because I know this guy's been wearing like all the cultura stuff. I'm like, ¿sabes qué? I can't be intimidated.
See this one? Prieto y chulo, dude, with a little fucking aguacate, bro. Get it at señorbarrigan.com.
Really? That's like a do.
Yeah, dude. I think it's dope.
I get it.
I think you passed the Prieto y Chulo line.
I would
bro.
say.
I think you're good.
I would say we're there.
So, are you consider yourself Chicano?
That's a great question, man. I took a Chicano studies class. Again, I minored in Chicano studies porque at that time in San Jose State, imagine San Jose State did not have a Chicano studies, or like they called it, Mexican American studies major. No tenían. Only a minor and a master's. So here I am, right? 21, 22, trying to major in something. I did Spanish, right? Because it's a long story because of my community college professors. But I took my first Chicano studies class and I was like, whoa, this shit's badass. Like, history about Chicanos. Like, I think it was from the 1900s until here, until today. And I was like, what? And I'm like,
you came out with a suit too?
yeah. I was like, dije, I want to major in this. And me decía my professors, well, you can't. You can only minor. When you do your graduate degree, you can come and master it. And I'm like, what? Right? So then I started learning the history of SUC. I'm like, how is it possible that we have all these things and we don't have this? So I did not major in it, but I did a minor, right? So I took a class, right? So in my Chicano studies class, I learned about identities. Even this professor, shout out Mora Torres, he broke it down intensely. What does it mean to be Mexican? What does it mean to be Mexican American? What does it mean to be Latino, Hispanic, Chicano? And I'm like, what am I then? So I've always confused. Like, I always felt Chicano, the way that it was framed to me, it was like very political. They're very this, very that. And I would say deep down, I do gravitate towards like the heart of it, like this idea of like helping others. But then nunca me he identificado como Chicano. I would say I identify more as Latino. But I feel like there's something within me that I still have to explore maybe. Maybe there's more things I have to be involved in. But this idea of Chicano, como que sí está en mí, if that makes sense. Pero no sé, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's super interesting. In the previous podcast that I did it with Celeste the Bestie. She's the person that co-founded People Over Papers, right? And she was mentioning that from where she comes from, which we keep a secret, by the way. No, we're trying to keep her identity as safe as possible. Being called a Chicano was an insult, right? Because being called a Chicano was meant to say that you are not Mexican enough. Right, in the area that she grew up in, right?
Yeah.
I think here in California, that would be the equivalent of calling somebody a pocho, right? If you call somebody a pocho, that's like a put down, bro. Chicano, there is a lot of power, but I think in California, Chicano, the idea of ser Chicano, just has a lot of like power and energy or whatever. I think a lot of people forgot about it in general. I think it's really interesting to have this conversation, though.
Yeah.
Because people get very heated, right? Because it's like multifaceted, right?
Yeah.
For example, I do not like the term Hispano, right?
No, me neither.
I think being connected to, and I majored in Spanish for you there too. So I think being connected to the whole idea of the folks that created so much harm to our community, I don't want to do it. I don't like it.
No.
Latino, I will own. It's fine. It means from Latino America, sure, right? But there is a subset of people in the internet, in the community, that will say, I make it sound the internet, no, in the community who do not like that. Yo no soy Latino, right? Latino es el nombre que me dieron los conquistadores, los colonizers. I don't like that shit. Yo soy and then they name whatever, right? And then like I'm not Chicano, dude. I was born in Mexico, so soy Mexicano. And then the new conversation is, we are doing a disservice to our communities that are migrant with indigenous roots by not calling them indigenous, right? That if somebody is an undocumented immigrant that came from the Americas, they are indigenous, right? So they are indigenous Americans. And it's just such a like complex set of like questions, and that can get super toxic. I went down that route for like a little bit because I was like, oh, I think it's an interesting point, at least for advocacy sake, advocacy sake. And what folks with a lot more institutional knowledge about indigeneity, damn, I always have a hard time saying that word.
Indigenate. I think you said it right. Yeah.
They said that by labeling blank all of us as indigenous, we are erasing people that grew up in indigenous communities. And even in Mexico, there is indigenous communities of people that are not being taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, we are erasing their struggle, their history, by blankly just saying whatever. So I landed with something like, dude, I am a Mexican man with indigenous roots. That's like reconnecting. That's detribalized. And I was like, fuck, that's hella long, bro. Soy Mexicano, a la verga.
It's so much, man. And this like, first off, Hispanic, to your point, this corta esa madre. No. Hispanic heritage, man, no me vale madre. No. Why? 'Cause, again, Hispanic, Hispania, right? That was a term created by the government. Oh, people from Hispanic, Spanish descent, SPICs, right? So, no. Yo no vengo de allá. Pero it's hard, like, as I've been applying for jobs, right? As folks may know, no tengo trabajo. As I've been applying to jobs. And ahí te dice, like, if you want to, like, answer questions about, like, your identity, who you are you a male? Are you this? Are you that? And then they go to the cultura part, right? Oh, like, are you Hispanic / or Latino? I'm like, yeah. I answer those. Nomás porque I like to answer them. And then, boom. And then it says, from where? Mexican, or some of them may say the Mexican, like Colombian, etc. So, oh, cool, Mexican. But hay unos que no. Te dicen, are you white? Are you black? Are you this? Are you Indian? And so I'm like, none? Other? I don't know. I don't know how to answer it. Like, am I indigenous? Like, I've never, no sé. I'm not black. Am I white? I have no idea. So, no sé. I think that's something. I had a live with a compa back in the day, and he was like, "Oh, you're indigenous, bro." And I'm like, "But I've never grew up like that. I don't feel comfortable claiming it si yo no lo entiendo y nunca lo practiqué, or I'm not connected to it. I don't know where my lineage comes from, my family. So I know there's a lot of mestizaje, right? But I don't know, right? So like, it's the lack of knowledge for me.
Yeah, even saying the term mestizaje, dude, it'll come with like pitchforks on different conversations about folks that are like, that don't like that shit. You know,
they don't like it.
And
the Chicano one too.
And like and you know what? Like I respect it. You know, I think people can label and use whatever labels makes them feel the most empowered, as long as it doesn't create harm to anybody else. And this is why I struggle with the whole indigenous thing, bro, because I heard loud and clear from folks saying, like, you are erasing indigenous communities who are actively fighting for survival in different places. And I'm like, makes sense? That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me, you know. But also, like, when people are saying, like, dude, you can't deport people, you can't do mass deportations. People are indigenous to this continent and they're traveling free, like our ancestors. I'm like, oh, like that makes a lot of sense. And this topic of labels, this is now a recurring segment here, which is, what type of Mexican are you? let me while I have you think about it. So, like,
there's a lot of Mexicans.
There's Mexicans are not a monolith, food. They're all different, right? Like some of the folks, some folks are like the ranchero Mexicans, right? They wear the hat, they wear the boots, chido.
The Terians?
Yes, exactly. Some other folks are like the rockeros.
The rockeros.
Some of them are like the ones that are into hip hop, little cholito wannabes or cholos, right? No. One or the other, you know, they're like deep in that stuff. We also have some of the Mexicanos that love that Pokemon shit. Some of the ones that are into like the Dragon Ball Z stuff. I think you're one of them.
Heck yeah.
I'm just making assumptions based on the tattoo.
No, of course.
And like for myself, I think I am definitely not one of the ranchero Mexicans.
You're not?
No.
Okay.
I wish I knew how to dance. Like that would be kind of nice. But like, nope, skip that part. I'm very much on the the rockero side, like I grew up on El Tri, Molotov, El Gran Silencio, and of course I still listen to the classics like Vicente, Juan Gabriel, todo eso, you know. And then I grew up very much on like the heavy like anime side, bro. I'm an anime ass Mexican, you know. I'm also like pretty like geeky nerdy sometimes, you know. So Benjamin, what kind of Mexican are you?
Man. And funny that you realize that, no? Like, people have asked me, who's your, like, favorite superhero? Not like, you know, parents, but like, you know, cartoon-wise. People say, Superman. I'm like, for me, it's Goku. You know, why? Oh, it's because if you ever saw Dragon Ball Z, Goku, every time he found a challenge or some other villain who was much stronger than him, he saw it as a challenge. Hell yeah, I'm gonna work hard to beat that fool, you know? So I was like, así como veo yo en la vida, you know, when things get rough, I'm gonna think like Goku. I'm gonna work hard to overcome it. Pero bueno, I don't want to get into the Goku thing so much. What kind of Mexican am I? See, growing up, como te digo, mi mamá es de Sinaloa, so all my family from Sinaloa lives around me. I grew up around them. Banda was in my life all the time, right? So very paisa, right? Like the paisa, dude, like all I was forced to dance. All my cousins, las mujeres, baila con tu prima la Leslie, baila con prima con la. And I was like, there I am, coming on other quinceañeras. I was like, man. So I was forced to do all that, right? But I would say as I started like identifying who I am in middle school, I was all hip hop, bro. I was all hip hop, like the early thousands, like Ludacris, Eminem, todo eso, puras malas palabras, ya te sabes. But then once I entered high school, it shifted a little bit more. And the thing in middle school that I had a lot of trouble, like my traumas and like my difficulties in expression of as a young boy and everything, I felt like I found a home in rock en español. So I'm a rockero too, man. I've told my wife many times. I was like, yo soy rockero por excelencia. She's like, nah, you're a little bit of everything. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I mean, my playlist has everything. Pero yo soy rock. I mean, I can dance, because again, I was forced to it. So I can dance. Yo puedo bailar toda la música. Pero if you tell me what music I was listening to yesterday or which music I wrote my best essays in college, was because I was either listening to some romantic rock or like intense rock.
So like Mana?
Yeah, like Mana, like, oh, you know, Corazón. I would listen to those guys to get very inspired, or like a little bit more like Latin pop. But when it was like to work out to this, it was rock, man. Before the whole
like
reggaeton
who
movement.
do you like?
I mean, Molotov, you mentioned it. Like, if you saw my post of yesterday about Dolores Huerta, the picture, one of the pictures, is, I put la de Molotov, like, chinga tu madre. I was like, Molotov is definitely one of the ones that I was like, dude, these guys are cussing. Like, I cuss a lot. I'm like, I love this. So Molotov for sure. El Tri, no lo escuchaba tanto, pero Panda, what's the other one? Héroes del Silencio. I mean, Soda Stereo, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, Soda Stereo. Panteón Rococó. I mean, all the classics, right? Café Tacuba. All those. As I when the documentary of like Latin American rock came out, dude, I was all on it. I was like, this Shazamming all the songs. I'm like, I love this. Let's just. I've never heard this song from Argentina, so I loved it, man. ¿Cómo se llama los de Chile? The group from Chile. Se me olvidó. I lost their name. But the rock band from Chile, the famous one. Tren al Sur. Yeah, I mean, if I miss them, so sorry.
Now I got a blank, bro. Now,
Yeah. Tren al Sur, right? That group. But bueno, that rock, man, was rock. And then when reggaeton came into the mix, then yeah, I got gravitated towards
You
that
look like a
bit.
Daddy Yankee fan. No.
Daddy Yankee fan for sure, man. He's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT.
He is, dude. He is.
But I mean, Bad Bunny, you know, he's doing his thing for sure.
Yeah, what's it called? I got El Gran Silencio, dude, is probably my favorite. Do you know who El Gran Silencio is?
Of course.
I don't name one song.
Oh, El Gran Silencio.
Name one song. I'm just kidding, bro.
La de
It's taking too long.
Lunes, ese tipo de... No, esa no es. La de... There's these two songs that...
You're losing brownie points, man.
No, it's que they don't really sing like rock. They sing like como cumbia rock, bro. It's like really...
Yeah, no, you know them. You know them. They were the best concert that I've ever experienced. They held a show in San Jose, California, in like this little like venue. It was not a little venue. It was like a venue that was kind of small, and it was just like a party, bro. And it was like I've never experienced. I also, El Gran Silencio was the very first artist that I got into ever, and it was the very first CD that I owned, right? So it was like an experience for me in general. But I saw Molotov and El Tri live, amazing folks. But the one that had a showcase that's always left me wanting to re-see it was El Quinto Patio. Who sings the song again? You just named them, dude. I just got a blank.
Are they from Spain?
No, dude. La canción Quinto Patio Ska.
Sí, no, Panteón Rococó?
Yeah, Panteón Rococó, yeah. What's it called? If I got that wrong, people are gonna eat me up alive. But I'm saying, like, they had this live experience, bro, that was like almost theatrical in the middle of their concert, and it just like left me thinking like that is possible on a stage. And I've been wanting to re-see that moment, and it doesn't exist. I think it's one of those that like your first time surfing or your first time getting on a skateboard that you will never just feel again.
I mean, I've seen Maná. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Maná I like their music too, although obviously the controversy of like they're not rock. But I mean, they're the most known rock group, if you say, right, and from Mexico, one of the most that made money in Latin America for all the reasons, right? They were smart about their stuff, but you know, obviously they're not fully rock. So that was a big concert for me. And one of my first concerts, Maná, I was like, oh man, this is great. All the Maná songs, the one that makes me excited is Me Vale, right? Or like the other one where you can actually rock out to. Me Vale and ¿cómo se llama la otra? Dude, if we were going to talk...
Ese de clavado en un bar.
Many times. No,
creo que este vato es un borracho.
No, but that was not a rocker song. You know, it was like Rayando el Sol. But that's not a rock song. That's like a sad song.
They're rock, dude. I don't care what people say. They're rock. Dude, I've had like front row tickets to their concerts like twice, and it was like an accident, dude. Like I was like, it was the day of the concert. It was the day of the concert, and I just pulled out my fucking like Ticketmaster app, and then they just happened to randomly put out like 2 front row tickets for like an affordable price, and I was like, buy. And it was just like an incredible experience. And I did that shit twice.
Yeah, I've seen those fools 3 times. Not no more, but I mean, it was great. But Molotov I hella liked, man. I was like, when they took out the Mexican flag, I'm like, a huevo, you know? I don't know if you ever saw the documentary of Molotov. Dude, it's great. Because there's a controversy of their song, the one they're trying to cancel, because it affects can I say it? PUTO, the song? Like,
no, you can say that.
No, puta.
Yeah.
So they go like into the whole, they bring professors in like linguistics and all that, the meaning behind that word for the Mexican culture. But then you got the other side about like, well, it also, they are derogatory for like the LGBT community. And I'm like, so I was like, so I hardly use it anymore. I don't really use the word anymore. But I mean, when I'm growing up, that word, it was like there's an element of way for me. Like, hey, tú, boom, esto, eh. But as I saw, I'm like, oh, snap. But I still like Molotov, though.
Yeah, I don't say puto anymore, right? But I say emputado because I don't have another word that like can express that feeling, you know. And enojado, like that's one thing. Emputado, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's something else in general.
Yeah.
That's super interesting, dude. I'll look into it just because
I'll send it to you.
I think the controversy around like the words and like artists. I will say though, I recently started really thinking about the impact of words, right? Although I don't know if people who have been seeing my content for a while, they know that I've talked about this plenty of times, right?
Uh-huh.
About the idea that content creators, people with an audience, people with a megaphone need to be responsible for the content or the words that they're putting out there.
Exactly.
And I think that I think it's fine for people to acknowledge and say like, that song creates harm towards the LGBTQ plus community. I think it's valid, bro. If it's a slur, like I understand. I think it's valid. Although I do not know how to repair the harm, I wouldn't know how to do that stuff. But I recently talked about. Do you know who La Rosso is? La Rosso?
Yes.
He's an up and coming. Love this guy. He's a rapper from the Bay Area, and he has a bunch of dope songs that I really love. This dude. He put out a song called Heaven Sent, right? And in the song he says that. He's talking like the idea behind it is that all of us come from like the creator and like we have to make choices and like we can do good or we can do bad. It's a wholesome message, I think, right? Yeah. Even as somebody that's not religious like that anymore. But he used the term heaven sent, like they are heaven sent. And so he started with like Malcolm is heaven sent, like Martin was heaven sent, and then he says Kanye was heaven sent, and then he says Trump was heaven sent.
Oh, whoa.
And then he says Epstein was heaven sent. And then he goes, and Hitler was heaven sent. And that's when we're like, bro, like if you just heard the snippet, like it threw people off. And then for people that dove into it, they're like defending him and like, this is what he meant to say. But I think it's like one of those places where like, that didn't land right. Like that wasn't the right framing. And I think there needs to be some accountability there in general, you know. So I think the same thing with people in
Yeah,
the,
I
in, the,
mean.
in the puto song.
Yeah, and then like it's just words, right? Language, like this song came out in the '90s, right? So like what was happening in the '90s with the lens of 2026, like we see as wrong. Maybe not that it was correct back then, right? But like I feel like we have more knowledge and more exposure to like other identities or other groups of people that are affected by certain things. So la cosa es to evolve, right? We have to continue to evolve and to grow as a people, right? But also as a community. Like yesterday, which hopefully we might get into that topic with things that were happening yesterday with the things that came out about Dolores Huerta, Cesar Chavez, etc. It's and it probably still continues right now. It sparked a huge conversation within our cultura, like our community, and like people defending it, people being against it, and people attacking men, and people saying women are this, and I'm like, what? You know, like, que no podemos estar de acuerdo that was wrong? You know, like instead of like fun. So I feel like there's just a lot of stuff there, and I think like again, it's about growing and learning. I've never been perfect, right? I've always who I was in 2005, 2015. Like yo crecido, and I try to continue to grow each day and learn from my mistakes. And I think that's something that hopefully groups or languages words that we shouldn't use anymore, right? Like we should learn from those things.
Yeah, like there are lines, right? Like I think one word that evolved or that like started somewhere can land somewhere else. But I do. It has been disappointing seeing the response from a lot of Latino men and Latino women, actually, both of them, about trying to diminish the impact that Cesar Chavez had on women, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things is like just to get people up to speed, in case you haven't seen it, probably you have by now. Cesar Chavez, like recently. Had people come out to say that he had sexually abused them. I forget we're not on TikTok, so I was like, oh, I don't need to like mince my words. But like that he had sexually abused them. He had well, one of the women that came forward, she was 13 when the abuse started, and it lasted for 4 years. And then she tried to unalive herself because of how traumatic the whole thing was. Mm-hmm. Another one was 12 years old when it started, when he first like touched her inappropriately. I think he said on the article that he groped her, and then. And then later, when she was 15, they had relations, right? And then the biggest name that came out was Dolores Huerta, who mentioned that she was pressured into having relations with him one time and then forced to another time, and that both of those led to pregnancies that she had to keep secret and a bunch of other stuff. It's just like very horrific stuff. Yeah. And what I saw this morning is that there is like over 10 other women that are now ready to come forward and share their experience about Cesar Chavez. Right. Wow. What was I know that you talked a little bit about this on your platform, but what was your reaction to this?
Man, I have not seen the updated news about it. Someone in my DMs did send me a message. Hey, hay algo nuevo. Like there's an updated about the New York Times, or like there's something new, and I'm like, oh snap! Like I haven't had the chance to look at it, like because of being busy. But I'm definitely gonna try to look at it. But yesterday, I mean, again. Growing up, right, especially in Salinas, right, there's a lot of fields, there's a lot of field work, there's a lot of campesinos, right, there's a lot of empaques, like we say, like salad companies. So that this name of Cesar Chavez is huge in where I'm from. So growing up, like you read histories of the textbooks, etc. Like the only person you see that looks like you or looks like me was him, right? Es su foto ahí cuando hablaba un poquito de la United Farm Worker Movement, the campesinos, Cesar Chavez. And like schools are named after him, right? Parks are named after him. Streets, you name it, right? Murals, you see his face everywhere. So growing up as a little kid, again, first gen, like, oh wow, he's a great guy then. Like, él es un héroe. Y that's the mind that you grew up with, right? Like, you don't get the real history. Just like you don't get the real history of like a lot of countries and a lot of things. So then once I go to college, and I learned about the real history of this country, at that time, I was in class and I was like, with the word stamped in my face saying, no mames, you know? I was like, what? This has been a whole lie? We've done like the real history of Thanksgiving, right? The real history about this. And I was like, in shock. I love history, by the way. I love history. If I would have been able to major in history, I would have done it. And I think Chicano studies was an extension of my passion for that. But sadly, got a minor. So, again, once I took a Chicano study class and I learned the real history about like the United Farm Worker Movement or part of it, or / also the real history of like Virgen Guadalupe or like this and that, like I was like, boom. Como que part of your identity or the way you grew up is like slapped in the face. Like, eso ha sido una mentira. Despierta, güey. So I've known about Cesar Chavez que no era un great guy. I've seen his interviews when he calls people wetbacks, when he's like has all these against like immigrants. Yo sabía eso. So yo sabía que era un, like, I like to call people tacuaches when they are like dumbasses, you know? But I don't like to use the word dumbass. I'm just, es un tacuache, you know? Tacuaches, I don't like people who are like that in my life. I really like poop. It's just the thing that I do, no? So I knew that he was a tacuache. Like, ese way. Like, yeah, he did a lot of stuff, but there was a lot more people, but none of them get the recognition. It was just him. I know he was shady. Whatever, right? I've known that. But this dude, this is, I never knew about these things before, right? So, like, if they had come out at some point, there was rumors, yo no sabía. Yo nunca escuché, yo nunca leí. And again, you know, life continues, y no sé. But when it came out, the rumors, and then yesterday, as I'm reading that article, and then not to mention with Dolores Huerta saying what happened to her, I was in shock, man. I was like, again, no mames, bro. And that's how I started my video, like, no mames, no lo puedo creer. Like, am I surprised now that it's been a day? No, I guess not. Especially with like hearing the things that, you know, other people in power that we know today have been accused of. Like, I'm not surprised anymore. But still, like, again, it goes back to, was he my hero? He was never my hero. There was always something about him que nunca yo lo miraba como yo miraba Goku. Yo no lo miraba como una inspiración. And maybe that's why the whole Chicano thing that I told you earlier, maybe that whole thing about like being a machista, like I never really felt a connection with this guy. I'm not saying it just because, oh, Perez the Advisor, he's amazing. No, I'm just saying, it's la neta. I'm not going to bullshit you. But when I saw it yesterday, it really pissed me off. I felt sad, bro. I felt disgusted that I ever, at some point, I was kind of there to celebrate him, like in las escuelas, you know, or we would have a day off for work, right? Cesar Chavez Day. Here you go, Latinos. Be proud of something. Here's your day. So it was like como que todo se voltea. I've never, yo no soy mujer, yo no he vivido experiencias como like we heard yesterday, right? Right? So, pero soy papá, right? Soy papá de una niña, and I cannot imagine what they went through or other victims in como que han vivido. So I cannot imagine that kind of stuff, right? It's like, no me lo puedo imaginar. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like the first thing was like, wow, I was just in shock, man. As I'm reading it, I kept reading and I had to pause. And I was like, should I record something right now? Should I say something? I'm looking at what people are saying on social media. I'm like, no, I gotta keep reading this. And I saw the image of the letter. You saw it too, right? The letter que le mandó la niña. And I was like, oh, mames, bro. I was pissed, bro. I was pissed. So yeah, that was kind of like the first things, my first thoughts. And then I recorded myself, kind of like the reaction about it. And I just, no lo podía creer. Es como una mentira que nos, like, who fed us this lie? And I was hablando con mi wife. I'm like, she's like, ya cállate, güey. I'm like, ¿quién nos mintió toda la pinche vida? Like, when the whole, like, Virgen de Guadalupe thing came out, right? And I don't want to get, hate for this, but the movement at that time was like, ocupamos a una virgen que sea morena para que los indios sigan la causa. And then they came out with a brown Virgen Guadalupe. Right? Like, again, unless I'm historically wrong, please check me. But I'm just questioning, like, who allowed Cesar Chavez to be the face of the Latinos, apparently? Like,
yeah.
Was it the U.S.? Like, I have questions.
Yeah, he was the leader of the UFW, right?
Yeah,
he was the co-leader. He wasn't the only one. Like Dolores Huerta was there. Larry Idleon was another person that was there, very influential.
But what do we don't know about these people? Porque no, like the Filipinos. ¿Por qué no sabemos I forgot his name.
Larry Idleon.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, ¿por qué no sabemos de él, right? Like,
yeah. I think they needed to choose somebody to be the face of it.
But why? Like,
I think it's easier to make a movement like work when there is one clear person to lead the pack, and unfortunately, society always picks men. Why they picked Cesar Chavez? Because he was well-spoken in public, because he was non-confrontational. Larry Idleon was very aggressive, so I'm sure like that made it harder in general. And Dolores Huerta, she's a woman, and we know how history treats a woman.
That's true.
But what's it called? I remember reading, like waking up and like seeing the article, but I was already prepped myself because I had made a video about the rumors that were coming out, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody's gonna come up, and I had already made videos about Cesar Chavez before. I don't know if you got a chance to see them. Like I started many years ago where I was talking about him, calling people wetbacks.
Going about the history. You had mentioned that before.
So I had done a couple of those. I had met with the Cesar Chavez Foundation folks. They reached out to me to ask about the video and about education and about the other side of Cesar Chavez, because he was famously anti-immigrant and then turned around and became very pro-immigrant later towards the end of his life. And transgression. I care about people healing. So I think the thing that I think felt heaviest for me is that I had just interviewed Dolores Huerta a couple of weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. And in every conversation when she's asked to talk about the UFW and about the work that she's done alongside Cesar Chavez, she had to talk about this man in a good light, right? Mm-hmm. And just the idea that for that man died in 1993, I think, it's been 30 years of having to continue to talk about this man in a positive light when he's done so much harm. It just must have been horrible for her. It must have been so heavy for her. That was my reaction. Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think there was another part to this is that a lot of folks are blaming her, right? They're saying she knew about the abuse.
Yeah.
She knew about the abuse years before he passed away. Why didn't she say something? Why, whatever? I even saw posts of some creators that are pretty reputable saying she was taking money from the UFW to stay silent about this and therefore the abuse continued. Things that I cannot verify if they're true or not. And I think all of those things do not take away that she is one of the survivors from this incident.
Yeah, exactly.
That does not take away that there is an immense amount of pressure, right? Because just like how you mentioned, why did they make him the head of it? If he were to go down, the movement goes down, right?
Yeah.
Especially as they are fighting for this. If this man is seen as the fucking rapist that he was in the middle of the movement, the whole thing goes down. And she had the pressure of having to maintain that image at the expense of herself and the expense of the other woman that went through it in general. So a lot of people were saying why now? Why are they bringing that up now? He's been dead for 30 years. Why does it matter? They're just trying to tarnish things. There are even conspiracy theories that they're trying to get us to not talk about the Epstein files. That they're all of these crazy things. And I'm hey man, I think survivors deserve to have their stories be heard, no matter when it happened.
Right? Yeah, 100%.
And what do they have to gain? Dolores is 95 years old, bro. What, is she gonna become famous from this?
Yeah.
Is she gonna sue the foundation and get money out of this?
Yeah.
What does she have to gain? What do the other women have to gain from this?
Yeah.
Right. So I think there was a lot of people who saw Cesar Chavez as a hero, right? And I understand the fragility, right?
Yeah.
People wrote essays about him. They did projects about him. They learned about his whole history. It was part of their identity. Some folks probably have Cesar Chavez tattooed on their body, and now you hear about this. Of course, you have a shock, but the fragility that you are having and the way that people are responding is the reason why women struggle to come forward. And I'm not gonna say just women, why survivors struggle to come forward. To share perspectives, because people are not going to believe them. They say that there's an ulterior motive, or in a lot of ways they're going to say that they were asking for it, which is part of the narrative that we're hearing right now.
Yeah, or oh no, es mentirosa, it's fake. Yeah, man, it's rough, man, porque as the comments that I saw yesterday in the post that I did, and other posts of other people, people going back and forth and attacking each other or saying their perspective, or es que todos los hombres son iguales, or attacking women. I'm what is going on, no? And for me, it's he had so much power, no? Based on what I read a little bit and what I've known, he had bodyguards, right, for his protection, this and that, pero power and privilege él tenía, right, and influence. And imagínate, si una persona como él pudo hacer todo lo que hizo, and so many people backed him up in a sense, right? No dijeron nada, so much power. Y alguien viene y dice, me hizo esto, no le van a creer. I'm sure they did, many times. And I think this story takes much more strength because Dolores speaks up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a multi-year investigation, right? It wasn't just one.
It wasn't 2 weeks ago.
It wasn't it was a multi-year investigation, and I think it sounds like more people are gonna come forward. And I think just to be super clear about it, I stand with the survivors.
Yeah.
And I think if you're somebody that's defending Cesar Chavez, right, I think you're a part of the problem. And I think there is a way, as an educator, right? Somebody who used to teach ethnic studies.
Yeah.
I think there is a way for us to be able to talk about the United Farm Workers movement and like the impact that had for humanity.
Yeah.
While also teaching about the damage that this man caused. Shit, we can't even talk about the good things he did. Because that is part of what history is supposed to be like.
Exactly.
Like, I think I really don't like when people teach about folks and then they just talk about all the good things and they leave out the other side of things. And then people come up with the shocks. People don't learn about history repeating itself. People don't learn about all of the things that are necessary to really fulfill the whole person. And that was the argument I had back when he was known for being anti-immigrant. I think it's now more important than ever to ensure that this does not drown the work that came in the movement.
Yeah. The movement had like todo su positivo, no? It has its journey like the movement, right? But like I said, I don't think I've posted this just yet, but I do say like we should remove him from our streets, from our libraries, from all the things that we see him around, like all his name and his face, but we shouldn't remove him from our history books. I think we should have him there to learn who he really was, todo, right? Todo lo que fue él. Yeah, the things that he was positive about, but also the things that, like we saw, right? Todo lo que sea cierto, todo, para que veamos la realidad de las personas, right? So it's tough, but I think as a Latino community, or it was a rough day yesterday for sure, and I think I hope it doesn't just die out. This conversation, this topic with the community. I hope it continues to bring something healing, right, something positive that we can continue to evolve as a community.
Yeah. There was one part, like I've been very disappointed about the way that people have been responding to this in general.
Yeah.
The way that men and women are like talking about it, the fragility, the victim blaming, all the stuff. There was one part that I am proud about though, and that is the swiftness with which a lot of the community responded, bro. Like people already painting Cesar Chavez's face out of murals. People already covering up like statues that are up of him. Like people already having this conversation about like renaming schools, renaming this, renaming that. And like if we can do this for somebody as influential as Cesar Chavez was, why are they not doing that for the president? Why are they not doing that for the people that are part of the files, right?
Dude.
I even saw that the governor from Texas started working on changing things around Cesar Chavez. Hello, quickly, bro. Same day. Yet Dafu not only has said nothing about the files and about the president that is in the same way, like that has a lot of accusations. He's been supportive of him. So I'm just saying, bro, it's like this could be like a good learning opportunity for the other side, but I doubt it, bro.
No, it's, dude. And it's interesting because I've seen in threads. I mean, there's so many platforms, right? But I saw in threads someone say something similar, where like, oh, how is it that like the Latino community was really easy to bring down one of their heroes, like nothing, like blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, because we as Latinos or our community, una persona como él, we're gonna take you, like you caused all this like damage, you're evil, te vamos a tumbar. And as a nation, we can't do that for all these people in the files that are like, es que este país funciona very intelligently y nos ven la cara de imbéciles. Toda la vida. So again, as little kids, we're reading the history. Yes, USA is the good. We're the good guys in every movie. Y nos ven, they feed us. It's so, oh my God, dude. Es mucho. Y nos ven la cara de güeyes. The list que nos hacen show, whatever, the file, está todo redacted. I'm like, oh my God.
It's all black lines.
Come on, man. Like, enséñanos todo como es. There's too much negocio, too much business, too much, ¿cómo se dice? So much influence. I mean, you've seen I don't know if you saw the show House of Cards. There's so much there de que no lo van a sacar nunca. Este vale se va a morir y nunca va a estar en prison. El POTUS de este país.
Knock on wood, hoping.
Todo esa raza que está ahí, dude, they control our lives. Aunque queramos o no, somehow, some way, shape, or form, we're paying the gas that we're paying because of these people. We get like las comidas, the medic. No me cabe en mi cabezota, yo tengo cabeza grande, que cómo es que este país es el más poderoso. Yeah, for education we have to pay, for medical we have to pay, for all these things we got to do all this. I don't get in a no me quiero meter en ese ramble, but it's so these files, all these things, yeah, they'll take on the brown guy. Hell yeah, he did a bad thing, take him out. Si sale cosas que Martin Luther King hizo bien feo, lo van a tumbar también. Pero si sale que como lo que está saliendo con el POTUS o con Bill Clinton and all these other people, they ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, I will say though that
Sadly.
there is a gram of like hope that people will be held accountable, right?
I hope so.
I think the country's being run so terribly that I think it is very likely and possible that a lot of the folks that wear the red hats are gonna lose power. They will no longer have the supermajority, and that people will be able to held accountable. And that counts with people going out to vote, people going out to utilize their privilege, their right, their responsibility to go out and try to make a difference. And
Get educated, man. People gotta get educated.
yeah, dude, I accidentally started a series where I started interviewing people running for governor, bro. Hello, random. Like I don't know how it started. It was an accident. I wasn't planning it.
And they agreed to meet with you. Which
Yeah,
is cool.
they agreed to meet with. I'm in the works to meet with a couple other folks that I think will be good. But I think what's it called? I think it's kind of like if we get the right people in power that are standing for the right side of things, I think there is a chance for us to be able to hold people accountable.
I hope
The
so,
primaries that are coming up, the people that are running for governor that are coming up, y lo que sea, I think it's going to be very interesting. And I hope people are paying attention. I think some of these third-party folks really mean business. They're really trying to crash the party. And I hope that people are paying attention. Even if they don't make it on the ballot, right? Which I hope that they get a good opportunity, lo que sea, at least they will make the statement, they will cement that people want folks that are saying the things that they're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, like I don't know if you've read into Ramsey Robinson or Dr. Butch Ware, but I think it'll be. I think those folks are like saying a lot of things that folks want to hear, and people need to be paying attention. And I think politicians on the blue side need to be paying attention. Like this is the thing that's resonating with folks in general.
Hopefully, man.
There was one final thing that I wanted to ask you about. One of the posts that you put up recently that like really spoke to me was around your experience in navigating not having a formal job, right?
Yeah.
And like I think you talked about it in your platform before about how like you are no longer employed with the same folks.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? But one of the things that was like interesting that you said in one of your posts was around the experience of having to experience like not having a formal job, being unemployed, while never like seeing it with our family members.
Yeah.
When I saw that post, I was like, I've never seen my mom not work. I've never seen my dad not work. Right. So for me, when I transitioned from being a principal to like what I'm doing now, it was like really difficult too of like whatever. Although my mom, for the record, she had seen me that I was like fucking killing myself, like trying to do all of these projects, trying to be a full-time content creator, full-time principal. And she was like worried about me that I think in any other scenario, she would have been like, ponte las pilas, ponte a trabajar. That she was like, no. Like, I actually think that you are doing the right thing. Like, actually, I think you shouldn't even work. I think you should just like use your savings and chill. And I was like, ama, cálmate. I don't have any.
No tengo más.
Me lo gasté. But for you, tell me about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's rough, man, being unemployed, no. And I think it's not the first time I've been unemployed. There was a moment where I was unemployed for almost a year, and it was rough. Pero no tenía hijos, right? I wasn't married, so I was like, oh, okay, like I can make it.
So you got a sugar mama now. So
yeah,
you're good.
I got a sugar mama now. I'm like, so I can live off unemployment.
She's gonna watch us and be like, what the fuck? She's not. We're just kidding.
Yeah, so like unemployment was like, okay, I can survive of that. Pasa nada. But then unemployment ended at that time. But right now, yeah, it's been rough, man. So, I mean, ¿cómo se llama? 6-figure salary, todo comfortable, pero pues still, my debts, paying my debts and all that. But yeah, being unemployed, the way that happened, which I haven't spoken to how it happened or that whole story, which I will soon. Pero, boom, que te digan, effective immediately, you're no longer employed here. Me corrieron como si fuera una basura. And I was like, what? Like, you're prohibited from stepping foot in our schools. Como si yo hubiera hecho algo malo, right? And I was like, wow. So, and prohibited from speaking to our students and our staff. I was like, and our parents. I'm like, oh, okay. Point it. I'm not gonna get into that, like I said.
Maybe
Pero,
one of these.
I was like, but yeah, man, like that first, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna get fired. Yo ya sabía, dude. For the past 2 years, my experience at that job was just very toxic, very bad. The relationship with the manager was just really a bad experience, and I hope that no other people get to experience something like that. But then again, being a first gen, so much weight as being the first one in your family of like everyone's watching you. Todo lo que tú haces, like, oh, what major you picked, or what you're traveling here, or you bought a car, you're doing all these things. Siempre te ponen de ejemplo. I mean, in my family, they always put me as the example to follow. And at first I hated it because I'm like, what? That's lays so much pressure on me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility. But then, not that después I embraced it, because I'm like, okay, yeah, like I have responsibility. And I always tell my cousins and people like, here I am, but do your own thing, right? Like, see, I hope I get to inspire you, but then be you. Well, with that identity of pressure, sin trabajo, it's just like, no mames, like, ¿qué pedo? ¿Y ahora qué hago? ¿Cómo me dieron mi cheque? They fired me. Here's your money, blah, blah, blah. I submit unemployment. I get that. Right now in March, I'm okay. Pero financially, yeah, at some point I'm going to be stressing. I might be stressing today because I do think about it as men. Like, mi papá siempre pensaba en el futuro para que todo estuviera bien. Always thinking and thinking. And I'm somehow an extension of that too. So si estoy pensando, ¿qué va a pasar en junio si no agarro trabajo? At this point, I haven't gotten no job interviews. And I was like, wow, you start feeling that doubt. That self-doubt that we try to overcome as first gen all the time. See, it creeps up on you. Pero, si te puedo decir algo based on what you shared as well, and my mom told me this when I got fired, and she saw me that day, and then she saw me a couple days after, and she says, "Te ves feliz, te ves mejor," because I've seen pictures of me, and I acknowledge it. This past 2 years, man, my content creation for those 2 years slowed down. I didn't have the time anymore. I would do just like a quick video, a quick little sound over, or like, like the cap cuts.
Puros thirst traps.
Puras babosadas. Like those cap cut videos where like you use like, and then I would just use those, a little quote here and there just to continue the page. But I didn't have the energy to post real content because I was going through so much crap at work. En el trabajo, llegaba a la casa and I was stressed, in a bad mood. And in the last 6 months before I got fired, I mean, the way that they were chopping me down to try to like break you down emotionally and everything and mentally, it was affecting me. But yo ya sabía, I wasn't going to quit my job because I needed the unemployment piece of the money because I knew, and I was applying for jobs here and there, not with the energy of today, because obviously, pero llegaste al punto, and then now the reflection of like, oh, okay, I've never seen my parents deal with this kind of stuff unless they were hurt. My mom broke her arm, or my dad had different operations or surgeries. They didn't work. Pero siempre tienen trabajo. Y this idea of seeing my parents always hard workers, siempre no hay excusas, working 6-7 days a week in the salad companies and everything. What's my excuse? I'm sitting down, I'm with the kids, I'm just chilling, I'm watching TV, I'm on my phone doing content creation. I'm like
watching Goku.
Yeah, watching Goku. Like, am I going against how I was raised? Like, so estoy inservible ahorita? Like, should I be doing something else? Should I just go get a job anywhere else? Like, it goes through my mind de ¿qué es lo que debo hacer como hombre, como papá, como like it's like a first gen? Like, is it okay to rest? I've been resting for 6-7 weeks now. Should I continue resting? Should I wait for that perfect job? What should I be doing, right? And I think that's the lack of like mentors too. I think that we talked about offline a little bit, and the lack of like guidance of like mucha gente me ha dicho. And I love, again, shout out to the community on social media, on Instagram and on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people who I've never met. Who one of the homies, Enrique, he gave me a laptop, one of his used laptops, so I can do my podcast and to do the things that I got to do. And I was like, holy shit, you know, that goes a long ways. That's a beautiful gesture. Está así de grande como la tuya, para que sin albur. And that was a big gesture, know that, like, wow, you know, someone that you don't know to give you something like that. And another person me mandan DM, send me jobs that have been happening or that, you know, come up. They send me DMs about it or give me advice. And they tell me, it's okay. Don't rush. It's going to get here. Enjoy your kids. And I was like,
that's a crazy statement, bro.
Dude, I'm like, me quedo pensando. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm enjoying them. And they stress me out, you know, just chiquillos. But that doesn't, like, if they would tell me your job's going to start May 1st, I'll be chilling right now. Pero no sé qué va a pasar, you know? So that's what comes to my mind. Y me estreso a veces. Pero hay veces que me despierto y digo, ¿sabes qué? I see that I get 20 more followers on Instagram. I'm like, ¿sabes qué? Yeah, like, let's continue doing this content and, you know, let's hope for the best. And I'll continue applying for jobs like I do each week. Yeah. And it's rough, man. It's rough that I decided of me de que no quiero defraudar a los papás. Or, yeah, basically that, defraudarlos de que no tengo trabajo. And it's just, being fired makes you feel like you are affecting you, because everyone gets affected by it. Que defraudas a tu familia, that you let down your parents, that you let down everyone that are being told to look up to you. Now you basically...
Yeah, plus you got the added pressure of, like, you have your family, bro, like, you have your wife.
Exactly.
And I think it's just, in general, that feels like super heavy. There is like this juxtaposition that I often, like, play around, de que somos in the middle entre chingones y chingados, right?
Yeah.
How do you translate that to English? Being like badass or the fucked ones, right? And the chingones y chingados.
Great and getting and being like in a fucked up situation, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. You used to be a Spanish major, fool. What the fuck?
Hay cosas que no se
me
traducen,
too.
You know?
And so we're in the juxtaposition entre chingones y chingados, and I think about that often, right? Because I used to work hella hard. I mean, I still work hella hard, but I used to work hella hard, and when things would get rough, my mind would jump to, my mom has worked way harder than you have, so stop complaining, push harder. You're tired, you'll rest eventually. Mm-hmm. Like, you've never seen your mom complain about work. You've never seen your dad complain about work. They're always like hustling. So how dare you insult them, right? Exactly. By trying to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the switch is like, our parents, I'm going to censor myself because it's like, I don't want to talk for other people. But my parents, they work so hard to give me the opportunities and privilege that I have. Mm-hmm. How dare I not take advantage of it and rest? How dare I burn myself out, start killing myself doing this work? My parents came here to give me a better life. They came here to give me the opportunities. They supported me, and they support me in all of my ambitions and goals so that I don't have to work the way they did. How dare I go out and burn myself out, start like killing myself through all of these different things that I'm trying to do. And it's like a balance that we got to figure out, you know, like feel empowered when it's necessary, and also feel the love and the care to take a step back when it's also necessary as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love that you mentioned that. It's nuestros papás, right? Our parents came to this country for a better life, right? To give us that better life. And exactly what you name, the rest, the privilege of rest, the privilege of me just chilling with unemployment money and just being with the kids. That's the better life que ellos lucharon for us, right? Like they didn't have the privilege of rest. They couldn't take a PTO because es que estoy cansado. They couldn't. They had to. They sacrificed their mental, their physical, y todo para nosotros, right? So, and that is so I can and you can rest. Y no nos tenemos que andar matando como ellos. And I 100% agree with that. But it's hard to accept that at times. Because at times I'm like, okay, I'm chilling. I'll watch a couple episodes of this Netflix series. I'll watch 3 more. No pasa nada. I gotta go to work tomorrow. But then the next time I remember, like, shit, like I just had to pay for something, and then my money goes less because I don't have that much anymore on my account. Y me estreso, shit, I gotta apply for another job, porque si no, esto I can't do this every day. And then I think about everything. They gave me papá, esto. I'm like, okay, boom. It goes back. It comes back. And then it goes away. And it comes back, So it's hard to definitely manage that emotion and that sense of pressure that maybe I just put on myself.
Yeah. I think that'll resonate with a lot of folks, dude. I think it's one of those things that I think we should talk about more often.
100%.
And like acknowledge. And, like, I am 33, right? ya me siento viejo. Like, I think I've lived many lives already, right? And I think I need to like acknowledge that tapping into that, the fuerza, the ganas, right? Is something that I should do.
Yeah.
And I also need to tap into there is a reason why they put in that work, so I wouldn't have to do that as well. It's difficult, bro. I'm a workhorse dude, and I'm like, what's it called? I am really hard to like put down. Like, I just keep moving forward, dude. And I think that's how like I think that's how people burn out, and then that's how people get sick. That's how people end up harming themselves without acknowledging it in general.
Yeah.
My mom will be proud of me that I'm saying this right now. Luckily, she doesn't watch my podcast. It was Benjamin. We're gonna close this out, and I'm gonna ask you to do something that might feel uncomfortable, bro. Might feel uncomfortable, dude.
¿Por qué?
Espérate, güey. I'm about to say it. Do the little chiflido thing. How do you do it?
No, no.
One of the ways that I like to end my my conversations with folks is by asking them to humble brag directly to the camera. And I started this, right, because I acknowledge that in our community, we do a really bad job about uplifting ourselves. Sometimes we're good about uplifting others, and we're a bunch of haters, though, sometimes. So our community doesn't do that, but we are terrible at uplifting ourselves. I've seen instances where some of my white colleagues don't have any issues about that. They they uplift themselves. They actually steal ideas from other folks. They claim things that they didn't do porque les vale madre. But in our community, it's all about being humble, que no seas presumido. You got to keep your successes quiet. And there is an extent where I think that's necessary. I also think that by not uplifting ourselves, hyping ourselves up, humble at the top, not just bragging, right? Like, I think we're doing at the service to the community, to ourselves, to the people around us that are watching us, to our students, lo que sea. I'm literally just yapping to give you more time to prepare yourself. But I'm going to ask you to like humble brag directly to the camera. Tell them who you are. Tell them why you're dope, why people should follow you, and what do you have to offer, plans that you have ahead, o lo que tú chingados quieras. Directly at the camera, Benjamin.
Directly at the camera. Si se ve la cámara ahí? Si se ve. Yeah, man. I mean, humble. What did you call it? Humble brag?
Humble bragging.
Humble bragging. Yeah, la gente siempre dice, no seas presumido, porque si no, ¿qué va a decir la gente? No, and I think that's something that
You're stalling, Benjamin.
I am stalling, trying to get to that point, but yeah, I mean, Benjamin, right? Perez the Advisor. In my page and my content, you'll find someone who's just relaxed, chill, authentic, y realmente chido, cool. So definitely check out my content, follow me. Obviously, follow this guy, you already know. But I have a podcast coming up that I'm continuing doing episodes where I bring guests. Hopefully, Barragan gets to join me in one of them. But just to continue having conversations like this beautiful conversation him and I had today, continue bringing people and just overall talking about like their journeys within their lives. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I mean, if you have any opportunities, if you need a speaker for like a college graduation or for your fraternity sorority chapter, or anything like that, I'm your guy. I've done stuff like that, and I'm more than happy to collaborate with you or your organization in that. So if you're around in the Bay Area, say what's up. Aquí vivo, así como Barragán, acá somos del Bay. Aunque no soy del Bay Area, pero pues, So, thank you so much for listening to a little bit of my story today, and for inviting me to come in.
That was mid, bro. We gotta work on your pitch.
I need to work on that pitch, man.
You're an educated Latino man that is connected, and that you're trying to uplift the community. And people should be listening because I think you have a lot of emotional intelligence that you can help folks, especially if there are young Latino men that are trying to find their way. They should be paying attention to Perez the Advisor. And I just gave you a tagline, bro.
There you go.
Next time that you're on the pod or that I'm in yours, I'm going to ask you to do that shit again. He's going to go home and be like...
I'm going to reach out to ChatGPT and be like, hey, ¿quién soy, güey? No, but I appreciate that. And I think that's a really good exercise porque no estamos acostumbrados a presumir quién somos, no? And I think you did a really great job summarizing a little bit of who I am. And also thank you. Yeah. It's a good push.
Yeah, thank you. Familia, thank you so much for watching. De nuevo, Hello Loud, Hello Brown, Hello Loud podcast. Thank you, Benjamin, for being a part of this. And then hopefully we'll be able to have him back. I mean, the dude's in the Bay Area, I'm in the Bay Area. And I would like to have a recurring guest to talk about current events. Especially because I think your emotional intelligence when it comes to talking about a lot of the topics that are cultural are really important. Yeah. Especially for folks to see Latino men who are willing to dive into these conversations and be vulnerable about it. I think it's going to be really important and necessary.
Ya sabes, and we got to go to a Sharks game too, eh?
I'm going today. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man. See, you going to one today?